Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Drag Show. I'm Stu Smith, your host, producer, and we've been doing this show since October of 2008. So tonight, excuse me, I'm going to spend some time talking with you about why the Drag Show and how it came to be, and a little bit about my reasons for it, and probably that'll take us to a little bit about myself. I found myself to be really homophobic, and the thing that I was probably most afraid of were people who were obviously gay. So I felt really threatened by sissies and drag queens and anybody who stood out a lot. And drag queens kind of fit that profile, don't they? I've come to change all my feelings about individuals, people who have the courage to stand up and be who they are, something I lacked for a good part of my life. So one of the ways that I thought I could address some of my issues would be to face them and get to know the people that I had fear or resentment, or even a disdain for. So I talked with my dear friend Zachary Davenport, whose drag name is Labeline, an amazing young guy. I mean, this guy's done almost everything. I think he's the only guy to win gold in the gay games in Germany with the group Cheer, which is a group of cheerleaders, GLBT, who perform this time or that time all over the world. But they do a lot of charitable work all around San Francisco and Northern California. Zachary's an amazing guy, and we started the show October of 2008. And I think our first guest was either Randy or Betty Beasley, and then we went on. And in those early shows, we had people ranging from Sister Boom Boom, a very notorious, one of the original Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, to, Heclina, who founded Tranny Shack, Pollo Del Mar, who's founded all sorts of things and is one of the fiercest advocates for GLBT causes in San Francisco. A writer, a performer, a little bit of everything, and a mentor to all sorts of young people. The incredible Peaches Christ, famous for Midnight Mass, the great movie All About Evil, some probably forthcoming movies, all sorts of stuff. The amazing Putanesca, Jose Guzman Colon, one of the great artists of my lifetime, primarily in photography. I wish I had. He has a book out called Glam Gender, and it's available at Books Incorporated and a few other smaller bookstores in the area. I know it's available in Canada, in Palm Springs, probably LA, maybe even New York. But if you can find it, you can always go to glamgender.com, I believe it is, and you can find it there. You can find out the information on how to get it. It is a book well worth having, and it's a true coffee table book. It's brilliant. He did it in collaboration with Marianne. I cannot remember her last name, Rochelle or La Rochelle, who is Canadian and lives up there. And it's just a treasure. At any rate, so the show went on. Zachary got very busy with his life and bowed out. Then in came Terry, and then Stephen Leader, and then Patrick Connors, who was doing some. I also launched Frisco Today, which was going to be more about current events, and is going to be more about current events. And Frisco Today is kind of a takeoff on how hated the name Frisco is. So many things that I was afraid of or disliked or in some cases hated. Best thing I found to do about all those things is to face them and get to know them and take the venom out of my thinking. At any rate, geez, I could just probably go on and on and on, couldn't I? So over the 2+ years of the drag show, we formed a website, thedragshow.org, thedragshow.org, and that show, there are clips or full shows of everybody we've done so far. We're missing a couple of them. So it's well worth taking a look at some of the amazing personalities. There's Precious Moments, also known as Michael Soldier, some of the cast and producer directors of Pearls Over Shanghai, which was originally a Coquettes production, Scrumbly Coldwin and Link Martin, and numerous other wonderful, amazing artists. It's still playing. It's been playing, I think, for almost as long as the show's been going on. And there's 2 or 3 episodes or shows that have focus on Pearls Over Shanghai. If you can see that, the Thrill Peddlers group have this play going on at the Hypnodrome Theater, which is on 10th by Division. So I thrillpeddlers.org as a way to learn more about it. The tickets are listed on Gold Star and brown paper tickets. Thrill Peddlers, Pearls Over Shanghai, a must see in San Francisco. So, gosh, going on a little bit with the guests we've been fortunate enough to have on here. We've had discussions with Raphael Mandelman, some other politicians. We've poked fun at people, and poked fun at ourselves. Let's see. Well, let me tell you a little bit about me. Okay, I've told you a little bit about being prejudiced and being fearful and all that kind of stuff. I'm 70 years old, born in Palo Alto, about 30 miles south of San Francisco, and raised down there. Thank God my grandparents kept a home up here, because the minute I could get on a train, I was up here all the time. I loved San Francisco. I hated Palo Alto and the suburbs. So I got to, as a young guy, I was born in 1940. So my blossoming years, the years I got to really get involved in what was happening in San Francisco, started around 1955, 56. So I got to be around for the beat era, the Summer of Love, the hippies, the assassination of Dan White, the Compton's riots, which preceded Stonewall by 2 years or something like that. I got to meet Jose Sarria, the Empress Norton. She was famous for working at the Black Cat. He was the first person to run, the first openly gay human being to run for political office in the United States. That's guts. That's real balls of steel. He's still chugging along. He does the trip to Colma, to the plot of Emperor Norton. As the Widow Norton, she goes down with an entourage and places a wreath on his grave or tombstone or whatever. So, I mean, there was Sweet Lips. Sweet Lips had a little bar in the heart of the Tenderloin. In those days there were bars everywhere. And when the gay scene started, in my experience, Polk Street became the first gay mecca in San Francisco. Now, there's things that have happened way, way, way back. I know during the gold rush, near where the panhandle of the Golden Gate Park now is, there was a kind of a little area where homosexual men who went out and danced with other men, mostly the miners and the guys who came out here to seek their fortune, They would have dance halls, and there were very few women, and so the men would dress up like gals and dance with the other men, and that little community flourished. I don't know if that has much to do with how we really became such a vibrant, huge community, globally known, as Oz or Mecca, whatever, for the gay world. But it's a rich, rich history. There's so much that I remember. Gosh, the nightclubs. I mean, in the old days, I got to meet Jack Kerouac and William Burroughs and Ferlinghetti, who had City Lights bookstore. Oh gosh, I could just go on and on. Enrico Banducci, who founded the old Hungry Eye, and then Enrico's. And I got to see Barbara Streisand when she was earning $200 a week at the Hungry Eye. In fact, I insulted her when I was drunk. I dropped acid with Timothy Leary. I saw Woody Allen's first performance when he was getting $10 a night at the Hungry Eye again. The Hungry Eye launched all sorts of major talent. Bill Cosby, the Smothers Brothers, and then you had the Purple Onion kind of across the street where Phyllis Diller and a lot of comedians came from. Mort Saul was a regular at the Hungry Eye. An amazing time. But San Francisco's always been that way. Jazz scene was so big. I think we were second only to New York in modern jazz. I got to see Thelonious Monk and Miles Davis and, Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Jerry Mulligan, Stan Getz, all of these people at the old Black Hawk Club, the Jazz Workshop, Fax and New Fax, Bimbo's 365 Club that started on Market and is now up on Columbus. And then we had the great Washington Square Bar and Grill that launched in the 1970s. The Ed and Marietta Moose and Sam Deach created a club or a restaurant basically in North Beach that became legendary. Musicians, political leaders, news people, interesting people, actors, just about everybody had to go to the wash bag is what we called it. We had 50 plus years of one of the great columnists of all time, the late Herb Caen. His writing, I remember when I was, I think 10 or so, my mom and dad gave me a little newspaper rack. They put it on the breakfast table. And this is in Palo Alto, one of the saving graces that I remember about Palo Alto. They put it was then the Chronicle, San Francisco Chronicle. The second section was only Herb Caen and Macy's. And I learned to read Herb Caen every day. And there was an emptiness in San Francisco when the few days that Herb Caen would take off or go on vacations. And when Herb Caen went on a vacation, not only was it news, he wrote about it, and you got to take that vacation with him. A brilliant writer, a great, great San Franciscan. He loved this city, and he wrote about it. One of his most successful books was called Baghdad by the Bay. It's kind of a nickname he had for San Francisco. With permission of his son, Christopher Caen, who is quite a man himself, a very talented writer. He wrote a column after his dad passed briefly, and it was wonderful. But for whatever reason, the paper was unwilling to pay the freight, so we lost another great columnist. Newspapers are shrinking. So I'm sitting here in a medium, courtesy of you folks and the Bay Area Video Coalition, and Andy and Philip, who work here at San Francisco Commons, and we provide entertainment through education. They teach people how to do the very thing I'm doing right now, and much, much more. Media, communications technology, expression, It's so important. And one of the reasons I got into the drag show was all my life I was afraid to open my mouth. I remember going on before television cameras being interviewed many, many, many times, and I would choke up. I could not open my mouth. Now listen to me. You can't stop me. Same with radio. I don't know why. I would just freeze. And so it was another fear I wanted to walk through. And I was able to do that. In the last 10 years, I learned to be able to speak publicly in lots of different areas. That's a huge gift for me. Some flash down there. Technology, I'm not too aware of it. At any rate, so life has been very, very good to me. What's happened, 1 year after we started the drag show, I met the love of my life, William David Earl. We met through a posting on Craigslist. We met in October of 2009, and we started dating. And we have spent lots of time together. We don't live together, and we probably won't for another year. But we actually got committed, or we committed ourselves to each other on New Year's Day, 2010, at Lovers Point in Pacific Grove. That's probably the most touching day of my life. It's probably the happiest day of my life, too. I didn't know that I could ever be this much in love. I've had one great relationship in the past, but that was 32 years ago, and it was with a wonderful guy named Rick Hill, a great artist. He's got something coming out now that is brilliant about all the corruption of the United States government in South America and the Middle East. And what he's done is he's written kind of a scathing story, and then he's a painter. He painted large folio paintings, drawings, watercolors, oils, all sorts of mixed media of the main characters of each one of his bits on this thing. So he's got amazing, amazing art along with this great, great story. When it's out, you've got to see it. I think it's on the web under www.themagellans.com. Anyway, another great artist, my first love. And so I was I became an alcoholic and drank and owned bars and had a great old life until I couldn't drink anymore. So then my life changed. I actually got clean and sober, and everything changed. I tested positive for HIV in 1988, and I went on disability in 1994 and started learning things. I became able to learn how to do things for the first time. And I wound up on the board of the Community Television Corporation, along with my favorite, most important charity or work in my life, which is Shanti Project. But at any rate, one thing led to another, and then I met Dave. And I am so much in love with this guy, and he's in love with me. And I see stars when I think of him. I see my heart actually races a little bit. He's a smart young guy. He's creating companies and businesses, and in fact, he's actually building, I think he's probably got 4 or 5 websites under development right now. He's a student. He's going to school in Boise, Idaho, and studying computer programming. And while he's doing that, he works part-time, and then he's doing all of these websites and that type of work he's actually built customers. He put an ad out, and the next day he had 2 customers. And that's the way his life is. He's ambitious, he's smart, he's spiritual, he's romantic, he's bright as hell, and I love him so much. At any rate, so my life is great. The drag show will go on. Frisco Today will go on. If you have ideas or suggestions, please reach me. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see ways to contact me and ways to learn more about both the drag show and me. Thank you very much.